who will take your questions. They are Chairman of the National Development and Reform Commission, Mr. Zheng Shanjie, Minister of Finance, Mr. Lan Fuan, Minister of Commerce, Mr. Wang Wentao, Governor of the People's Bank of China, Mr. Pan Gongsheng, Chairman of the China Securities Regulatory Commission, Mr. Wu Qing. Thank you.
现在请直接开始提问。
The floor is now open.
请北区第一排第3位男士。谢谢。
Thank you. Market News International. A question for Mr. Zheng and the National Development and Reform Commission. The government work report set a GDP growth target of around 5% this year. However, some international institutions are expecting around 4.6 to 4.8%. How to ensure China reaches its goal of around 5% this year? And what specific work will the National Development and Reform Commission focus on to support achieving this target? Thank you.
美国国际市场新闻社，我的问题提给郑山杰主任和国家发展改革委。政府工作报告已经确定2025年中国经济发展的预期目标为5%，与此同时，一些国际机构的预测为4.6%到4.8%。请问您如何看待中国经济形势？今年5%左右的目标能否实现？那么国家发展改革委将如何推进相关工作？谢谢。
Thank you for your question. With this opportunity, I would like to also extend my appreciation to the friends from media for your interest and support for the work of development and reform. It is a question on everybody's mind. This year's growth target is set at around 5%. It is a decision made by the Party Central Committee and State Council through comprehensive evaluation and scientific verification and systematic balancing, as well as prudent deliberation. From the implementation level, we have done every preparation for realizing this target. Economic development is a continued process. We must first take stock of our economic development over the past year, which lays the foundation and shows the trajectory of the economic development. Over the past year, the journey we have traveled was actually extraordinary. The Chinese economy has demonstrated strong resilience and vitality. We have experienced a very good start, some fluctuations in the middle, and a very strong rebound at the end of the year. We have handed out a hard-earned and satisfying and inspiring answering sheet. Particularly, after careful deliberation, the Party Central Committee has acted decisively and rolled out a series of incremental policy, which played a decisive role in securing the growth target set for the year. There are 4 characteristics worth mentioning. First is the increment size is big. Our GDP output last year is approximately 135 trillion yuan. Judging from the world economy, we have contributed approximately 30% to the world economic growth. Our economy's annual increase is equivalent to the economic output of Shanghai, or even more. Or from the international perspective, and this annual increase is equivalent to the GDP of a country ranked at around 20th in the whole world. Second, the quality is high. New growth drivers are growing very fast. I would like to use a set of statistics to prove my point. The share of new industries, new forms, and new business models in the total GDP has increased to over 18%. The added value of high technology manufacturing industry has increased by 8.9%. faster than the growth rate of industries above designated cell by 3.1 percentage point. On new energy vehicles, the production of new energy vehicles output over the past year has exceeded 30 million units, accounting for 60% of the global output. The production of integrated circuit is also growing very fast. The exported volume of integrated circuit stood at 1.1 trillion yuan, which is also a historic high. The total R&D expenditure exceeds 3.6 trillion yuan, an increase of 8.3%. The number of patent-owning businesses in China stood at 500,000, increased by 16.1%. These are all excellent data proving China's economies, which also demonstrated the quality of China's economic growth. In the meantime, the transition and upgrading of traditional industries is also accelerating. Something worth mentioning is that the vitality of private economy is also growing. And they have accounted for 64.7% of the total export of this country, which added another 1.4 percentage point compared with the year before. Private investment in manufacturing sector and infrastructure sector increased by 10.8% and 5.8%, which is significantly faster than the average growth in investment. The third characteristic is a solid foundation. Our grain output over the past year exceeds 70 million tons, setting a new historic high. It is fair to say that the rice bowl of the Chinese people is firmly held in our own hands. Our energy supplies are better supported, and important resource reserve systems was improved, and basic public services level was further promoted. And the fourth characteristic is that the momentum is good. Strategic emerging industries, future industries, and many other core technologies has achieved new breakthroughs in areas like integrated circuit, artificial intelligence, aerospace, biomedicines, marine industries, as well as new material industries are all growing very fast, with new growth drivers cultivated in a faster pace. And the upward trajectory of the economy is, in the long term, is much more salient. From a holistic approach, this result stands as a testament to the implementation of the decision of the Party Central Committee of ensuring both quantitative and qualitative growth of the economy, as well as coordinating high-quality development with high-level security. This result has laid a very solid foundation for this year's development. Just now, this journalist has asked that some international agencies are making different projections of China's economy. The one you have said is about 4.6 to 4.8%. We've also noticed that uncertainties in the external environment is also building up, and we're also witnessing problems like lack of demands domestically or the operational struggles of some businesses and industries. However, we believe that these problems arise in a course of development which can all be addressed. From a holistic approach, we have advantage in our system, potential in our market, and vitality in our businesses. And most importantly, we have the courage to face up to these risks and challenges, and the confidence to address these issues. It is fair to say that the realization of this year's growth target is well supported. We're full of confidence of achieving that target. Use a catchphrase which is very popular in today's world. It is fair to put that hurdles loom insurmountable, yet each falls resolved, and the journey ahead runs endless but bright as we advance. And of course, arduous efforts are needed. As a comprehensive department focusing on this particular area, we're going to act on the decisions of the Party Central Committee, as well as the specific arrangement of the government work report. And from the implementation's perspective, we have listed measures from 10 different perspectives in our report in this year's 2 sessions. And I would like to briefly introduce from the following 4 aspects. First is to combine consumption promotion with well-being promotion and devote greater efforts to boost residents' consumption. For example, the trading policy, which has already been started last year, and our supporting capital for the trading policy has grown from 150 to 300 billion RMB, with the supported scope expanded as well. In addition, in order to adapt to the increasing diversified consumption needs as well as consumers' scenarios, we are, together with multiple different departments, we are drafting a specialized plan of actions of boosting consumption, which will be issued shortly. Second, we'll combine the implementation or the improvement of shortcomings with boosting of future growth drivers. Public investment, with this year's ultra-long special treasury bond and local government special bond and central budgetary investment, we will have 5 trillion yuan of capital pool to support investment. And this process of investment, we're going to focus more on investment returns and prioritize projects that lays the foundation and benefit the long term. On private investment, over the past year, we have brought private capitals into important infrastructure projects, including nuclear power plants construction. Over the past year, we have also recommended 8,000 plus projects to private capitals, which achieved very good results. This year, we're going to continue to support private businesses to diversify their investment portfolio in emerging industries and future industries. We're also going to roll out a series of important projects in areas like railway, nuclear power plants, hydropower station, and important scientific infrastructure system. Third is to combine the cultivation of new growth drivers with the traditional ones, and to build a modern industrial system. On the one hand, we will continue to grow emerging industries and future industries. In the recent period, we're going to establish National Venture Investment Guiding Fund, which aims particularly at promoting innovative businesses. On the other hand, we're going to upgrade traditional industries. Recently, the executive meeting of the State Council studied policy to resolve structural contradictions in key industries. We're going to draft industry-based policy to guide the exit of low-performing productivities and expand supply of mid to high-end productivity to better let the supply side suits the changes of the need in the market. Fourth is to coordinate breakthroughs in specific areas with development in the overall picture. For example, we're going to further implement the guiding principles for building a unified national market, promote high standard opening up, and further unclog domestic international dual circulations, and comprehensively, effectively lower the whole societal logistic cost. And we're going to reduce unreasonable costs in all sectors. And we're going to roll out and publicize the private economy promotion law. And we'll also speed up the resolution of overdue payment, which is on everybody's mind. According to the decisions of the Party Central Committee and the State Council, the NDRC will work with relevant departments to strengthen our coordination and comprehensive balancing, strengthen policy coordination in areas like fiscal policy, monetary policy, policy on employment, industries, investment, consumption, and regional policies. And we also enhance the macro policy consistency while boosting its performance and strive to meet the target set for the year. Thank you.
请大家继续提问。请中区第2排第1位男士，谢谢。
谢谢主持人。中央广播电视总台记者提问，我的问题呢提给蓝帆部长。蓝部长你好， 政府工作报告对更加积极的财政政策做了部署。那么，请问今年的财政政策将在哪些方面体现更加积极？谢谢。
China Media Group, my question is for Minister Lan Fuan. The government work report lays out plans to adopt a more proactive fiscal policy. In what ways will this year's fiscal policy be more proactive? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. With this opportunity, I would like to first thank friends from media for interest and support for our work. More proactive fiscal policy is a new term that emerged in recent years, which attracted wide attention from the general public. Macro adjustment should be adapted to economic situation. In the same vein, it is needed to adopt discretionary fiscal policy and act in accordance with the trend. Adopting a more proactive fiscal policy is a major decision made by the Party Central Committee from a strategic and overall perspective, which fully grasps the need for realizing the annual growth target, as well as boosting the mid to long-term development, demonstrating the precision and forward-looking nature of macro adjustment. You have mentioned the word more proactive, which can be understood as more sustained and stronger policies. On the one hand, more effort is needed in carrying out existing policies. We need to implement well the policy package put forward in Q4 last year and make sure the sustained effect of these policies in 2025. On the other hand, more concrete incremental policy should be designed. We need to make full use of the policy space and draft more incremental policy focusing on livelihood, consumption, and future growth drivers, and ensure policy consistencies so as to carry out stronger and more precise policy to benefit all. There are 5 dimensions to look at this year's fiscal policies. First, more robust fiscal deficit arrangement. For this year, the deficit to GDP ratio is set at around 4%, which is 5.66 trillion RMB, adding 1.6 trillion RMB on top of last year's budget figure. Both the ratio and the scale of the deficit set a new record high in recent years, showing stronger counter-cyclical adjustment. Second, more robust fiscal spending. This year, general public expenditure in government budget are projected to increase by 4.4% to 29.7 trillion RMB compared with last year. More robust fiscal spending will inject solid impetus into the sustained and sound growth of the economy. Third, larger scale government bonds. The additional special debt ceiling for local governments amounts to 4.4 trillion RMB. 1.3 trillion RMB of ultra-long special treasury bonds will be issued, giving greater priorities to renewal and trading policy. The first batch of special bonds of 500 billion RMB was scheduled to support large state-owned commercial banks in China to enhance their Tier 1 capital. Taking into account the treasury bonds for deficit financing and local government general bonds, the total added government bonds amounts to 11.86 trillion RMB with an increase of 2.9 trillion RMB compared with the year before. Fourth, more robust transfer payment. This year, the transfer payment from central government to local government is set at 10.34 trillion RMB, increased by 8.4% on comparable basis. Focusing on general transfer payment, it sets to enhance local fiscal autonomy and capability. We also scheduled incentive funds to boost high-quality development and guide local government to strengthen quality and internal drivers of growth. Fifth, stronger support in key areas. This year's spending on Education and social security and employment are all close to 4.5 trillion RMB, with a projected increase of 6.1% and 5.9% respectively, while spending on public health and housing and other areas rising continue to see high growth rates. In the meantime, we'll continue to strengthen scientific physical management, deepen reform in physical and tax system, faithfully implement the requirements for party and state organs to tighten their belts, and make sure that every coin is well spent. Here, I would like to add on top of what I've said, in order to respond to the uncertainties of domestic and international environment, the central government has left ample room for policy to be implemented in the coming year. Thank you.
请南区第3排第1位女士，谢谢。
谢谢主持人，我是澎湃新闻的记者，我的问题想提给王文涛部长。王部长您好。今年以来，中国消费市场持续扩大，亮点纷呈，尤其是消费品以旧换新的政策带动了手机、平板电脑等新一波消费的热潮，服务消费表现很活跃，成为了推动消费市场增长的重要力量。请问下一步，商务部在扩消费方面还有哪些举措？谢谢。
The paper. My question is for Minister Wang Wentao. Since the beginning of this year, China's consumption market has continued to expand, marked by many highlights. In particular, consumer goods trade-in programs have led to a new wave of purchases of electronic devices such as mobile phones and tablets. Consumption of services has become an important driver for the growth of the consumption market. Going forward, what more measures will the Ministry of Commerce take to boost consumption? Thank you.
谢谢你的提问。
Thank you for your question. I also want to thank all of you for the interest and support for the work of the Minister of Commerce. Let me begin by a recap of last year. In terms of scale, total retail sales in 2024 amounted to 48.3 trillion yuan, up 3.5% year-on-year. Consumption remains the primary driver of economic growth. At the same time, consumption in services has sustained the momentum of positive growth, with total retail sales in services growing by 6.2% year-on-year, which is much faster than retail sales in consumer goods. So consumption in services has become a new growth area of consumption. You asked about the highlights and new trends. I think in terms of highlights and trends, consumer goods trading is now a buzzword. And Minister Zheng also mentioned this. Consumer goods trading is not just an economic policy, but also a concrete measure that brings benefits to the people. The trading program has generated new drivers for development, unleashed over 1.3 trillion yuan of automobile, home appliances and home decoration consumption, and boosted industrial transformation and upgrade, and the development of new quality productive forces. It's also a measure that brings benefits to the people, because more intelligent, greener and safer consumer products have entered millions of households. And through the trading program, people are now living a better and more quality life. In terms of consumption in services, you may have noticed that this year's Spring Festival saw booming sales in the consumer market. The Asian Winter Games ignited passion for ice and snow tourism. Ne Zha 2 and other films attracted moviegoers to cinemas. The incorporation of Spring Festival into the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List gave a strong boost to inbound tourism. The Chinese New Year has become a global celebration. The momentum of consumption recovery and growth has been further consolidated. On the other hand, domestic demands remain sluggish, and the potential of consumption is yet to be fully released. Specifically, the main problems with consumption in goods include weak consumption capability and willingness and dampen effective demand. While the main problems for consumption in services are the lack of lack of supply, especially high-quality supply. The government work report has made plans for boosting consumption and stressed the need to stimulate economic flows and industrial upgrading by boosting and upgrading consumption. The Ministry of Commerce will work with relevant ministries on the implementation of these policies. We will combine the efforts of boosting consumption and improving people's livelihood and come up with more practical and effective measures to release the potential of consumption. And this year, we will work on the following two priorities. The first priority is the continued implementation of the trading program. We will focus on expanding the program's coverage and deliver greater benefits to the people. Building on last year's policy and following the central government's decision, we have focused on meeting the actual demands of consumers and expanded the categories eligible for trading subsidies. For home appliances, the categories have expanded from 8+N to 12+N, and new subsidies have been introduced for mobile phones, tablets, smartwatches, and bands. According to statistics, by March the 5th, 310,000 applications for automobile scrapping subsidies and over 70,000 applications for automobile replacement subsidies have been received. Over 9.4 million consumers purchased over 12 million products under the 12 home appliances categories, and over 34 million consumers applied for trading subsidies for over 42 million mobile phones and other digital products. So the growth in applications is very rapid, and we've also upgraded our services and improved work efficiency to make the trading more convenient and safer for consumers and truly deliver the benefits of the policy. Another priority is trading services, and the key is opening to the world and revitalizing domestic market. Last year, China's per capita GDP surpassed $13,000. International experience shows that when per capita GDP exceeds $10,000, consumer demand for services will be released at a faster pace. We can see this from our own experience. In the past, people went shopping mainly to buy stuff, but now people have other options. They will choose places with good entertainment options, beautiful sceneries, and nice restaurants, which means they now care more about services. As I said, in consumption in services, the main problem lies in supply. Compared to the rapidly growing and increasingly diverse demands, new business forms and scenes featuring the integration of business, tourism, culture, and sports need to be innovated and improved. Education, medical services, health, and other sectors need to be further opened up. Gaps remain to be filled in the services for the elderly and children. Going forward, following the goal of opening to the world and revitalizing domestic market, the Ministry of Commerce will focus on increasing the supply of high-quality services to meet consumer demands in services at all levels. On opening to the world, we will promote pilot programs on widening market access in telecommunications, medical services, education, and other sectors, push for the orderly opening of internet, culture, and other sectors, and promote the comprehensive pilot programs of expanding, opening up in the service sector to spearhead the opening of service sector nationwide, attract more high-quality services, and improve the quality of supply. We will optimize the visa policies of foreigners coming to China, improve the convenience of immigration, accommodation, payment, and other services, and cultivate globally oriented education, medical service, as well as convention and exhibition markets. On revitalizing domestic market, last year the State Council issued the opinions on promoting high-quality development of consumption in services. This is a policy document of overarching importance. Together with relevant departments, we have issued 18 policy documents in old age care, child care, cultural tourism, ice and snow economy, and other service sectors. So that's what we call 1+N. For example, the recently launched action plan of Silverhair Tourist Train is highly popular among elderly tourists and also journalists. It has become a trending topic on social media. Going forward, we'll continue to roll out policies and special measures to support the development of key sectors and the services concerning people's livelihood, and improve and increase the supply of diversified services in health, old age care, childcare, domestic work, and other sectors by widening access, relaxing restrictions, and improving regulation. In the meantime, we will carry out the campaigns of service consumption upgrade and organize a series of events that promote service consumption, such as service consumption festivals and the Chinese gourmet festivals. And recently there was a event called Enjoying the Good Food when watching a good film. And also we have enjoying sports games and enjoying good food event. And we will continue to encourage various localities to promote integrated development of various business forms and create new scenes for service consumption in light of their local features and the specific consumer demands. Thank you.
这位女士，谢谢。
谢谢主持人。新华社记者提问，这个问题想问潘行长：2024年货币政策成效明显。昨天的政府工作报告明确了2025年宏观政策取向，提出实施适度宽松的货币政策。请问央行在这些方面有怎样的考虑？谢谢。
Xinhua News Agency. My question is for Governor Pan. The monetary policy in 2024 was effective. The government work report has made clear the macro policy orientation for 2025, and it is proposed that an appropriately accommodative monetary policy will be applied. So for the PBOC, what are the considerations behind this? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Friends from the press, good afternoon. In 2024, the PBOC conducted multiple relatively big policy adjustments. In particular, in last September, we introduced a package of incremental financial policies which effectively boosted market confidence and contributed to steady growth of the economy. On aggregate policy, the required reserve ratio was cut twice, and we cut policy rate twice and guided LPR downward. On structural, we introduced relending programs to support science, technological innovation, tech transformation, and government-subsidized housing. And we improved financial policies for property market and reduced mortgage rate and minimum down payment ratios and pushed for lower interest rate of existing mortgage. On exchange rate, we adopted a holistic view and maintained stable expectations and kept RMB exchange rate basically stable under complex situations. On policy transmission, we improved the monetary policy framework and conducted buying and selling of treasury bonds in open market and advanced reform of the accounting method of quarterly value added of the financial sector and stepped up supervision and enforcement of interest rate policies. Generally speaking, the countercyclical adjustments were yielded notable results, and their benefits will continue to be felt. At the end of last year, aggregate financing at M2 and loans in RMB terms grew by 7 to 8%, all higher than the nominal growth rate of the economy by 3 percentage points. And cost of finance is also at a historic low. Yesterday, Premier delivered the government work report, which identified the projected targets, macro policy, and key tasks for 2025. The PBOC will faithfully follow the decisions and instructions of the central leadership, ensure sound implementation of the appropriately accommodative monetary policy, and strike the right balance between short-term and long-term needs, between stability of growth and risk prevention, between internal and internal equilibrium, and between supporting the real economy and keeping the health of the banking system. First, on aggregate policy. Monetary policy orientation is a description of status. Since last September, the Federal Reserve of the United States has cut its rates 3 times by a total of 100 basis points, but its policy rate is still at a high level. Its monetary policy is still restrictive. over the past few years, the PPOC has cut the RRR and policy rate a few times, and our monetary policy is supportive. It is generally accommodative. As mentioned by Premier Li yesterday, we will continue to keep abreast with domestic and external economic and financial situations and the financial market operation, and make a reasonable cuts to RRR and interest rate at appropriate time. And now we will also use a host of monetary policy tools, including open market maneuvers, MLF, relending and rediscount policy and policy rate, to maintain sufficient liquidity in the market, to lower the debt cost of banks, and push for lower cost for aggregated financing, and to keep growth of aggregate financing and money supply in step with projected targets of economic growth and prices. On structure, we will strengthen financial support for major strategies, key areas, and weak links, further expand the relending for science, technology, innovation, and tech transformation, expand the coverage of policy support, and use all instruments under structural monetary policy to guide financial institutions to increase their input of credit to support sci-tech finance, green finance, small and micro businesses, and pension finance. And we will consider new instruments to give special support to investment and financing in sci-tech innovation to boost consumption and ensure stable trade. We will use the monetary policy tools in support of capital market and work with the CSRC to explore day-to-day institutional arrangements and support the steady development of the capital market. And third, on policy transformation, and will further improve the interest rate adjustment framework, continue to strengthen regulation of and on enforcement of interest rate policies, and we will advance measures such as capital replenishment by banks, ensure smooth function monetary policy transformation, and guide banks to make a well-informed assessment of risks. We will also step up synergy and coordination with the fiscal policies to ensure the sound delivery of the proactive fiscal policy, and so as to facilitate dynamic equilibrium between industry supply and demand, and support economic structure transformation and upgrade, and also the shift from old growth drivers to new ones. At the same time, we'll work with the fiscal side to ensure the monetary policy has synergy with fiscal interest discount and risk composition and other measures. Fourth, on exchange rate, we will stay committed to the decisive role of market in formulation of the exchange rate and ensure its adaptability. We will strengthen the guidance of expectations and resolutely guard against the risk of exchange rate overshooting. Keep the RMB exchange rate basically stable and adaptive and a balanced level. Thank you.
谢谢。是。
谢谢主持人。上海证券报中国证券网记者提问，我的问题想提给吴清主席。去年4月，国务院发布新国9条，证监会及相关方面配套出台了若干政策文件，请介绍一下相关政策文件的实施情况。政府工作报告提出要更大力度促进股市健康发展，证监会下一步有哪些考虑？
Shanghai Security News. My question is for Chairman Wu Qing. Last April, the State Council published the new 9-point guideline on the capital market. The CSRC and relevant departments have issued policy documents in this regard. Could you brief us on how these policies are being implemented? In the government work report, it is proposed that greater efforts will be made to promote the healthy development of the stock market. What considerations does the CSRC have for the next steps? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, and I also want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for the interesting and support for the development of China's capital market. Last year, soon after the two sessions, the State Council issued the guidelines on strengthening regulation, preventing risks, and promoting the high-quality development of a capital market, also known as the new 9-point guideline. Over the past year, with the coordination of the Office of the Central Financial Commission, we have worked with relevant parties to speed up the implementation of the new 9-point guideline. We have also formulated and revised over 50 rules and institutions, which together constitute a 1+N policy framework. These efforts have systemically reshaped the foundational system and the underlying logic of regulation and have brought about positive and profound changes in the capital market. First, on strengthening regulation and investor protection. Following the principle of strict regulation and management, we have strengthened the regulatory system and improved the regulatory performance across the whole process of IPO, information disclosure, corporate governance, merger and acquisition, reorganization, trading, and delisting. We have taken prompt and resolute measures to investigate and punish serious violations that cause concerns in the market and are detested by investors, such as accounting fraud, fraudulent IPO, market manipulation, and insider trading. The General Office of the State Council has also promulgated the opinions on the comprehensive punishment and prevention of accounting fraud in the capital market. So we have worked with the relevant sides to launch a special campaign against the accounting fraud of listed companies and step up the investigation and punishment of typical cases of major consequences. In 2024, we handled 739 cases of various types, confiscated over 73 billion RMB yuan of illegal funds, transferred 178 cases and leads to public security authorities, up by 51% year-on-year. And disciplinary or administrative discipline is only the initial stage of punishment, and the laws are violated, criminal responsibilities will also be charged. We further charged the criminal responsibilities of the responsible persons of Kangdexin, ST Xinyi, and other violation cases in the securities industry. In the meantime, we have paid close attention to protecting the lawful rights and interests of retail investors in accordance with law. We have pushed for the smooth conclusion of the two cases involving intermediary agencies. The two companies are System and Sino Essence, which are the first two cases after the promulgation of the securities law. We have also steadily advanced the two litigation cases involving the special representatives of Jintongling and Michel Ecology and Landscape, achieving new progress in investor protection. Second, on preventing risks and stabilizing confidence. Last year, the market dynamics were quite complex, posing serious challenges to the stability of the stock market. We have worked with relevant sides to improve the mechanism for ensuring market stability and introduced a series of policy steps. We have improved the regulatory system for automated trading, fully suspended securities lending in accordance with law, improved the northbound information disclosure mechanism, seriously punished illegal shareholding reduction practices, including shareholding reduction through divorce, indirect shareholding reduction, and flash cash out. We have also worked to bring more capital into the market. The registration-based issuance of public mutual funds has visibly picked up speed, and the total scale of ETF funds have surpassed 3 trillion yuan. Market value of A shares held by public mutual funds increased from 5.1 trillion yuan in the beginning of 2024 to the current level of 6.2 trillion yuan, up by 21.6%. We have joined the PBOC in launching monetary policy tools in support of the capital market, and worked with relevant sides to issue the guidelines and the subsequent implementation plans for bringing medium and long-term funds into the market. Through the concerted efforts of all sides, the A-share market, the investor expectation and confidence have notably improved. Third, on promoting high-quality development. Since last year, to support sci-tech innovation and the development of new quality productive forces, we have issued the 16 guidelines for supporting S&T enterprises, the 8 guidelines on the Star Board, the 6 guidelines on merger and acquisition, and the opinions on the 5 key areas where the capital market could be leveraged to support high-quality development. In the meantime, we have taken raising the investment values of listed companies as an important anchor of our work, and encourage listed companies to give higher returns to investors, including multiple dividend payout per year and dividend payout before the Spring Festival. Last year, dividend payout of the whole market reached a historic high of 2.4 trillion yuan, up by 14.6%. More than 300 listed companies initiated dividend payout in the 2 months leading to the Spring Festival, with a total amount of over 340 billion yuan, which is another record in history. Last year, listed companies repurchased nearly 150 billion yuan of shares, also a new high. On the whole, the total amount of dividend payout and share repurchase far exceeds that of IPO refinancing and shareholding reduction. The dividend yield of the CSI 300 index has reached 3.4%. An ecosystem with greater balance between investment and financing is quickly taking shape in the market. The Central Economic Work Conference and the recently held meeting of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee both stressed the importance of stabilizing the real estate and the stock markets. And in the government work report delivered by the Premier yesterday, the goal of stabilizing the real estate and stock markets have been included in the opening chapter, which is also a new development. We will resolutely implement these decisions and continuously push forward the implementation of the new 9-point guideline and the 1-point policy framework. We will deepen comprehensive reform of investment and financing in the capital market, and on that basis accelerate the new round of reform and opening up in the capital market and strengthen the foundation for the healthy development of the stock market. First, we will strengthen the inclusiveness and the multi-tiered market system. We will deepen reform of the Star Board, the growth enterprise market, and the Beijing Stock Exchange, improve differentiated arrangements involving IPO, information disclosure, and the sector structure, and promote the concentration of market resources in new industries, new business forms, and new technology fields. Second, we will further improve the coordination of investment and financing. We will strengthen the coordinated development and counter-cyclical adjustment mechanisms for the primary and secondary markets. Further improve the governance of listed companies, explore more concrete and effective measures to protect the lawful rights and interests of investors, and promote the effective check and balance between retail investors and the key minority investors, such as major shareholders and actual controllers of listed companies. We will encourage listed companies to enhance their awareness and ability of paying back to investors. We will also remove the bottlenecks and choke points that prevent social security, insurance, wealth management, and other funds and other medium long-term funds from entering the market, and bring more fresh water into the capital pool. Third, we will strengthen the effectiveness of regulatory law enforcement. On the one hand, we will seriously punish violations in accordance with the law, push for the introduction of judicial interpretation of breach of trust crime and regulatory rules for listed companies, speed up the revision of regulatory rules of securities companies, deepen interagency coordination and the coordination between central and local governments, and exercise effective joint penalties in accordance with law. On the other hand, we will strictly guard against violations based on responsibilities, strengthen the long-term mechanism for preventing accounting fraud, improve the whistleblower system, further ensure the gatekeeper responsibilities of intermediary agencies, further strengthen technology-empowered regulation, and reinforce management at the source. Fourth, we will further strengthen the adaptability of the foundational market system. We will respect the laws of the market and respect rules, optimize the mechanisms for market pricing, evaluate and improve the mechanism for transaction settlement, and create a more equitable, efficient, attractive, and predictable institutional environment for all market participants. We will also steadily expand high-standard institutional opening up, improve the record filing system for overseas IPO, and steadily expand cross-border connectivity to better promote reform and development through opening up. Thank you.
请大家继续提问。请南区第2排第3位女士，谢谢。
谢谢。光明日报记者提问，我的问题是给蓝部长的。去年6万亿元债务置换政策推出后，国内外都很关注，想请您谈一谈政策实施的效果，以及下一步还有何考虑。
Guangming Daily. My question is for Minister Lan. The 6 trillion yuan debt replacement policy has drawn much attention from both China and other countries. Could you please brief us on the effects of the policy and what are the considerations for the next steps? Thank you.
关心的问题。
The issue I've raised is also a priority in our work. Under the instruction of the Party Central Committee, the MPC Standing Committee approved in the last quarter of 2024 a 6 trillion yuan increase in local government debt quota to be allocated over 3 years at 2 trillion yuan annually, aiming to replace existing implicit debt and support local risk mitigation. Through the policy design and institutional reconstruction, this policy proactively resolves risks while supporting local government to free up more funds and resources to support high-quality development. With this single policy, we have accomplished at least 3 major things. First, the pressure of debt was significantly alleviated and the risks mitigated. After the policy was introduced, local governments quickly carried out implementation. First, implicit debts were exposed, and the debt management was more standardized and transparent as of March 5th, 2025. Local governments have issued 2.96 trillion yuan of bonds for debt replacement. Second, high interest rate debts was replaced by low interest rate debt. The 2 trillion yuan replacement bond in 2024 achieved a significant interest rate reduction by 2.5 percentage points, with some places experiencing steeper decline. And these reductions are projected to save over 200 billion yuan of interest rate payment in a 5-year period, which significantly alleviated their pressure for interest rate payment. Third, priority was given to urgent and high-risk hidden debts so as to ensure financial security. Second, the space for fiscal policy and drivers for economic growth were further strengthened. Given the challenges in balancing payment in local governments, through the debt replacement program, we have removed bottlenecks in the economic circulations. Local governments have improved capital flows, allowing more solid support to sci-tech companies and small and medium-sized enterprises with capitals and financial resources. And on top of this, priorities in livelihood projects were better supported. Making full use of this policy, the local governments have freed up more resources to support bottom lines, including the 3 guarantees, as well as compulsory education, basic elderly care, basic health care, and subsistence allowance systems, etc. And finally, it helped to support high-quality development, as local governments now have more resources to support sci-tech innovation and consumption. and spending in these areas are increasing faster than the year before. Third, significant progress was made in financing platforms reform, and the optimization of financial environment continued. The debt replacement policy has effectively driven the exit of financing platforms. In the last quarter of last year, after the introduction of the debt replacement policy, 4,680 financing platforms were closed, accounting for more than two-thirds of the whole year. In the meantime, through driving the optimization of financial institutions' asset quality and enhancing their willingness to allocate credits, we can better serve the development of the real economy. Like what you have said, the implementation of as the implementation of the policy continues, it was widely welcomed by local governments and received positive feedbacks from major rating agencies and international organizations, as well as experts and scholars, proving that it is a wide choice from the Party Central Committee. The replacement policy has achieved a very good start, with policy effect being unleashed continuously. In the future, we will continue to focus on the implementation and strive for greater performance of the policy. In the future, our work will focus on the following three aspects. First, accelerate implementation of this policy. We will guide local governments to use the 2 trillion yuan quota of this year as soon as possible to replace hidden debts in a great precise manner, carried out whole process and whole chain supervision of the replacement fund so as to strive for early results of the policy. Second, continue to promote the reform of financing platforms. We will divest local platforms of their government financing functions, implement classified market-oriented transformation based on actual conditions, and strictly prevent SOEs and public institutions from continuing borrowing under new disguises. And thirdly, we will resolutely prevent newly added hidden debts. We will further optimize our monitoring system with a focus on preventing illegal borrowing, uphold the principle of not adding hidden debts, and resolutely resolve existing debts while preventing new ones from arising. Thank you very much.
继续提问，请中区靠后第4排这位多次举手的男士，第2位，对，第4排第2位，好，谢谢。
谢谢主持人。人民日报、人民网记者提问，我的问题是提给郑主任。去年以来，心智生产力成为经济工作的高频词 ，AI 大模型、人形机器人、国产原创药等不断涌现，在国内应用如火如荼，在国际上也引起了很大的轰动。请问，我国心智生产力发展取得了哪些成果？国家在培育心智生产力方面还将有哪些重要举措？谢谢。
People's Daily. My question is for Chairman Zhang. Since last year, new quality productive forces has become a keyword in economic work. New breakthroughs such as large AI models, humanoid robots, and homemade innovative drugs have emerged one after another. In addition to being widely applied in China, they have also created a significant impact worldwide. My question is, what has China achieved in developing new quality productive forces, and what more important measures will the government take to foster new quality productive forces? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. The information you have shared, or the feeling you have shared, we have the same feeling with you. Over the past year, we have saw many highlights in sci-tech innovation. We got this immersive waves of cutting-edge innovation. These has delivered countless surprises to all of us, which has attracted wide attention from home and abroad. It is fair to say that new quality productive forces are reshaping our work and life. I have 3 deep impressions to share with all of you. First is faster breakthroughs. You have already mentioned that the much popular integrated circuit, both of the production and export, have set a new record high. more and more products are now equipped with Chinese chip. AI large language models have shown heated race with dark horses emerging everywhere. The application of industrial robots has also been promoted. Humanoid robot is also fast approaching commercial application, and a batch of internationally competitive homemade drugs are also emerging. There are more examples to come, and we have more cases ready at hand to share with you. And we got this feeling that many of the scenarios painted in sci-fi movies of the past are now turning into realities. China is now making proud strides at the very forefront of the sci-tech innovation of the world. This, from different perspectives, some forces in the international community are trying to contain China, but these kind of efforts will only propel China's effort in terms of scientific innovation. Second is on faster industrial upgrading. Last year, the added value of China's high-tech manufacturing and equipment manufacturing accounted for 16.3% and 34.6% respectively. And the export volume of electronics, including cell phones and PCs, personal computers, accounted for approximately 60%. And the new energy vehicles industries, after 10 years of investment, have already formed a complete industrial systems. These are all testament to the one fact that our industrial chain is moving towards mid and high end. Third is faster growing drivers. Recently, phenomenal innovative products are emerging continuously. And the result of scientific research are transforming from papers into products, and more enterprises are now spending more on sci-tech innovation, creating stronger internal impetus for innovation. Like over the past more than a year, we have witnessed more and more dark horses emerged on the horizon and quickly turn into backbones of our innovation. Developing new quality productive forces is a long-term task and systematic project. We are going to focus on the following three aspects, including capital, talents, and ecosystem. First is on investment. We're going to spend more on sci-tech innovation. Just now, when I'm talking about macroeconomic performances, I have already mentioned that we will build the National Venture Capital Guiding Fund, which will mobilize local and private capital of around 1 trillion yuan. And this policy is to give priority on hardcore technology with long-term commitment, as well as high tolerance for failure, and to give this money to innovative-driven businesses in a market-based manner. At the same time, we are also going to refine policy on merger and acquisition and share transfer policy, and encourage development of merger and acquisition funds. We will unclog the exit channels of venture capitals and to attract more capitals to join venture investment. Second is on talent. We'll continue to cultivate high-quality talent pool. We're going to strengthen cultivation of outstanding talents in much-needed area. We're going to bring up a large number of strategic scientists, outstanding entrepreneurs, outstanding engineers, craftsmen, and high-skilled talents through practices. The third is on ecosystem. We're going to build a